The Elaine Massacre of 1919 was one of the deadliest racial conflicts in the history of the United States, occurring in the small town of Elaine in Phillips County, Arkansas. This tragic event is a stark example of racial violence and injustice in the early 20th century. The massacre took place against the backdrop of post-World War I racial tensions in the United States. During this period, known as the Red Summer of 1919, numerous race riots and incidents of racial violence erupted across the country. In Elaine, the conflict was also fueled by economic strife, particularly related to the cotton industry. The violence in Elaine began after black sharecroppers, who were members of the Progressive Farmers and Household Union of America, met to discuss fairer prices for their cotton crops. They sought better payment for their labor and were challenging the exploitative practices of white landowners. On the night of September 30, 1919, a group of white men, including local law enforcement and vigilantes, confronted the black sharecroppers at a church in Hoop Spur, near Elaine. Gunfire erupted under unclear circumstances. Following this incident, white mobs, including individuals from neighboring counties and states, descended on Elaine, attacking black residents indiscriminately. The violence escalated, resulting in the deaths of an estimated 100 to 237 black individuals, although the exact number remains unknown. Many victims were executed summarily, and the violence included torture and mutilation. White casualties were significantly lower. In the aftermath, dozens of black individuals were arrested, and many were subjected to torture and forced confessions. 12 black men were unjustly convicted of inciting violence and sentenced to death. These convictions were later appealed, and the case, Moore v. Dempsey, reached the U.S. Supreme Court, which resulted in a significant ruling that laid the groundwork for future civil rights cases. For decades, the Elaine Massacre was largely forgotten or ignored in mainstream history. It wasn't until the late 20th and early 21st centuries that the event received broader recognition as one of the most severe instances of racial violence in American history. Efforts have been made in recent years to commemorate the victims of the Elaine Massacre and to reassess this dark chapter in American history. This includes historical markers, memorials, and educational initiatives to raise awareness about the massacre and its implications.